Most people think great ribs start at the meat counter. I don't. I think they start with a process. You don't need heritage pork, you don't need boutique supply chains, and you definitely don't need to overpay. Today I'm cooking store-bought ribs on a backyard smoker, and I'm chasing one thing: elite Texas-style rib quality. Because ribs aren't brisket, and that changes everything. I chose these ribs because consistency matters, not because they're expensive. So the question isn't, can you do it? It's whether most people are doing too much. So my goal in today's video is to show you my exact process to cooking restaurant quality ribs on a backyard smoker with predictable results every time. Because ribs punish ego, not budget. In my hand, I have full spare ribs, 2 to be exact. And the reason why I bought these ribs is simple. Because I have cooked Sam's Club ribs time and time again, hundreds of slabs of ribs, and I can tell you they have the consistency, the quality that I'm looking for, and the marbling is always insane. Now, you don't have to shop at a Sam's Club in order to get quality ribs. That's the point of this video. You can buy your ribs from anywhere. I happen to get these from Sam's Club, and they've never let me down. Let's get them trimmed, seasoned, and on the pit, and then once they're on the pit, I'll walk you guys through my methodology of turning a cheap cut of pork ribs into what I like to call restaurant quality, or at least the closest that we can get on some backyard smokers. Let's rock and roll, guys. This is a beautiful slab of ribs. I can't even put into words how much I enjoy cooking ribs because they take on such a unique smoke color and smoke flavor, unlike really any other pork product, in my opinion. You can see this kind of strip of fat running through here. In between this strip of fat is just some really easy cartilage that doesn't necessarily cook down, but that's also not necessarily an issue. When you eat that quintessential Texas style spare rib, they're nice and long, the bone is full of meat, and they're just cooked to perfection. That's exactly what we're chasing. So for the purposes of this trim, guys, I'm just gonna flip this over, and all I wanna do right off the bat is take anything that's too fleshy that we don't want, which for this example, would be this down in here. I'm just gonna go in with my finger. I'm gonna find where the bone really starts, and I'm just gonna snip this off like so. All right, I switched knives. My 7-inch boning knife was a little too dull, so I just grabbed the closest knife at me and I got my lightsaber. This is what I use on the service block, but it'll work for this application. All right, so now that we got that trimmed off, I like what I'm looking at, and all I'm gonna do, guys, is just round this off. I'm gonna maintain as much of this kind of outer meat as I can, and I'm just gonna shape it. You know, if you're making a St. Louis cut, which is a different video, you would come underneath this. You would just go right on top of these bones and snip this all the way down, if you can see that line. But for this, we're going Texas style. Flip it back over. I like it. That's all she wrote right there. Just round it off the edges just a little bit and maximize the meat. Look at the marbling on that. That is just, I mean, for $25, it's 12.5 bucks per slab of ribs. That is a lot of beautiful protein. For seasonings, the play is super simple. I'm going brisket booster, which is my personal rub. Yes, I formulated it for brisket, but to be honest with you, it tastes so good I use it on so much barbecue. And then I'm going 16 mesh ground black pepper. Nothing crazy, it's Fiesta brand. Love Fiesta, I can buy it at my local academy, so I roll with Fiesta. I don't have any binder, it is what it is. The meat's tacky as it needs to be, so on the bottom side, I'm just going light. Nothing crazy, nothing too heavy. You might be wondering, Marcus, you left the membrane on, what are you doing? It's a good note. I mean, if that's what you're thinking, that's a good note. I don't remove membranes when I cook ribs, mostly because most of the ribs I cook are cooked on highly convective 500-gallon or 1,000-gallon smokers. Now, I am cooking on the backyard smoker today, and by backyard, I mean it's a really cheap 15-year-old backyard smoker. And in saying that, I'm going to leave the membrane on mostly because I want to learn. I want to learn what that smoker is going to do when I decide to leave the membrane on, because every other time I've cooked ribs on my backyard smoker years ago, I always just took the membrane off. So to be honest with you guys, I don't really know how that's gonna perform. On previous backyard smokers that I have owned, like multiple smokers ago, way long ago, I attempted to leave the membrane on and it was a disaster. So that was then. I got different processes now, so I'm just gonna leave the membrane on, see how everything renders down, and we'll go from there. This is seasoned, nothing too crazy, just a nice light pass because season both sides of your ribs. And on top, I'm going 16 mesh ground black pepper, and I'm going just a little bit heavier, just a little bit heavier. The key with a good set of spare ribs or a good slab of spare ribs is you want to decide the color that you want before you go into the cook. What I mean by that is if you're chasing a really dark, put flavor aside, if you're chasing a really dark, rich, near black spare rib, you can get that color by two variables: pepper quantity and smoke output. So if you want it darker, put more pepper and more smoke. If you want a lighter, more mahogany color rib, which would be like a Franklin style rib, they're nice, light, mahogany, they got that deep red to them. If that's what you're chasing, back the pepper off a little bit, run a little bit of a cleaner fire. We'll talk about that at the smoker. I just want you guys to know as I'm in the process of seasoning, I'm telling you my real-time decisions. And then I'm going right over the top with my brisket booster. Guys, if you don't have brisket booster, I'm not one of these guys that's gonna sell you on it. Just get any seasoned salt from any brand. All right, this looks beautiful. I mean, I don't know what it is about ribs, but for me, it's just something about that combination of pepper with the bright seasonal, or in this case, like I said, brisket booster on top of rib meat. Rib meat is just nice and red and rich, and it just looks really pretty. So that's done. I'm gonna let these seasonings wake up. They'll kind of rehydrate a little bit, give it maybe 15, 20 minutes while I get my chimney full of lump charcoal lit. I'll dump that charcoal in the firebox, and then these ribs will be ready to roll into the smoker, and we'll talk about the process out there. Our ribs are on, as you can see, and I got the bone side facing the smokestack, and I got that kind of thicker, meatier side facing the firebox. I might do some rotation here at some point, meaning move the one in the front to the back and vice versa. But for now, I got these long ways, meatier side towards the firebox. The plan from here is simple. I'm gonna let these roll at 225 degrees, nice and smoky, smokestack wide open for about an hour and a half, 2 hours. And 2 hours in, I'm gonna pop the dome and take our first look at this. So these look really good. Super excited to show you how these take color, and I'll see you guys back here in a couple hours. Our ribs have been on for about 4.5 hours, and what you're seeing right now is at about the 3.5 hour mark, so about an hour ago, I put the ribs, I flipped them membrane side up. In my experience, historically, it's pretty hard to cook that membrane in a really cheap smoker. There's just not enough convection. So all I did was flip them over membrane side up for about an hour, and I'm just putting them back on their normal positioning so that I can finish the cook meat side up. I'll continue to monitor the ribs, check the membrane. If the membrane is still looking too rubbery, I might give them another flip back over, but at this point, it is what it is. Now, I just want to note a few things at this point in the process. When it comes to chasing a restaurant quality spare rib, there's a couple things to note. First, you want to make sure that you're cooking at high enough temperatures. One of the biggest mistakes that I see a lot of backyard guys make is we have anchored historically to 225 or 250 as the gold standard. And when it comes to ribs, specifically spare ribs like to be cooked in a little bit warmer of an environment. So don't be afraid to push a little bit past 275. You're gonna get the color that you're looking for, you're gonna get the consistent fat render that you're looking for, and then in addition to that, you're gonna get that bite. That kind of bite through, it's tender, but it's not really falling off the bone. That bite that we know in a good spare rib from a good quality Texas barbecue joint, that comes from not cooking too low. If you cook too low, you kind of get a hammy, semi-rubbery kind of thing going on. Spare ribs are not difficult to cook. What's hard about a spare rib is to make sure that they're consistent from one slab to the next. Here's what's really important. We are not in the business of over seasoning these ribs. That's not what makes a Texas rib special. What makes a rib special from any given Texas barbecue restaurant is the simplicity. Now, I'm not saying we can't push the boundaries of culinary flavors, but what I am saying is the fundamentals, the foundation of a good spare rib is solid quality wood, smoke flavor, a simple rub of salt and pepper, maybe some garlic powder, maybe some onion powder if that's what's, if that fits your fancy. Side note, all that stuff is in a good seasonal, which is why I use a seasonal. So basic flavors. We're not trying to put 16 rubs on top of this thing. Salt, pepper, in this case, post oak. And then the money at the end, the money shot, that glistening rib that we all see on Instagram, a good tray of barbecue, that glisten, that sheen that it has, that comes from a good sauce. That's it. A good rib glaze at the appropriate time does exactly what you want it to do when it comes time to serving your friends and family. With that said, I'm gonna let these ribs roll for, I don't know, another 2 hours maybe. If you're probing it, look for about 195, 200, right at the midway point of that slab of ribs, right in between those two middle bones. That's when you know it's time to pull it. 6.5 hours into a rib cook and our ribs are done. This is arguably one of the most important parts of the process. So if you haven't listened to any of this video, hang in here with me now. So there's a couple ways to finish ribs. I have a rib video where I finish my ribs in foil on my smoker. That is an option. And because I'm constantly learning and adapting barbecue and how I barbecue, I don't do that much anymore. These days, I just finish my ribs all the way out in the smoker, unwrapped. What you get is an end product that is a lot darker for sure. So I'm chasing a bit of a darker bark, not as red, not as mahogany. However, what you get in return is just a little bit, crispier of a bark. And then what we do is using the process I'm about to show you, we kind of soften that bark out the same way that I do brisket. You cook it, you take that bark just a little bit past done, finish it out in a certain way that kind of softens that bark out. I mean, this is really, really hard to beat. Analyzing this slab of ribs, it's got the movement, it's got the wiggle that I'm looking for. I did not take these over by any means. If anything, I under pulled them. As I yap, they're cooling a little bit faster than I want. I want them to cool in the foil, which this is foil underneath, but just to show you guys the feel and the wiggle, that's kind of what it's looking like. And then all I'm going to do is take my rib sauce, which if you're curious about the sauce, this is Blues Hogs. I do have a sauce that I make, but when I'm out of that, I just pop into the store, grab their championship blend, I think that's what it's called. Yeah, championship blend. And really guys, it's just a little bit more liquidy than the, original. It's a little sweeter too, but I like this one in particular because it has the consistency that my sauces have if I were to home make a sauce. And you'll see, all I'm gonna do is just dredge this over. I don't have my squirt bottle that I normally use, so it's coming out a little droopy on us. And that's it, guys. That literally is the magic formula, if there was a magic formula, and that is sauce your ribs after you cook them, wrap them in some foil, and then let the sauce and the steam and the heat and the foil soften that bark out a little bit. That bark is gonna rehydrate itself with that sauce, and then the end product is a fully integrated rib. It's hard to beat, but you guys will see that. This is a 99% done slab of ribs. From here, I'm going to leave this slab on the countertop, 30, 45 minutes, long enough for me to clean up. They've steamed off a lot, more than I'd actually want them to. Ideally, they're gonna go right off of the smoker, sauce them up, foil them up, leave them there. But again, we're making a video, so not everything can be perfect. I'm gonna leave these here. I'm just gonna let them continue to hit their peak, whatever their peak is. And when I say peak, I mean internal temperature. That's what I'm looking for. It's gonna hit its peak, and then it's gonna slowly start to decline. That process will take about 30, 45 minutes here at room temperature. Next time I see you guys, we will be checking these ribs out, and I could not be more excited. The moment has arrived. It has been, I don't have to do a bunch of talking. Let's just cut some ribs. Here you go. Dang. Look at those bad boys. I mean, that sauce just stuck to the surface of these ribs beautifully. Oh my gosh, my mouth is watering. Just a beautiful, beautiful rib. Let's do it. Oh man. Oh, that is a rib. So juicy. Let's go for another bite. Oh man. So good. On a spare, if you cut them long enough, just pull that bone apart, and you got that nice bone-in kind of gnawer. You got that gnaw piece, and then you got that top piece that, you know, in St. Louis and other regions, this is where you get a good rib tip from. But if you cook it all together, it's just hard to beat. Man, that was freaking good. For Backyard Warrior, I think this is the closest we're gonna get to some restaurant quality ribs. If you like what you saw in this video, I have a portfolio full of barbecue Nerdville level videos. You can watch master classes on how to cook or trim briskets, all the way down to super fun cooks like this that are easy to digest. Whatever fits your fancy, I got it for you. Appreciate you guys for tagging along. I love you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for the support. And as always, Big Frizz, meet and greet, over and out.